Hello folks and welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be all about the cost of living in BGC, Taguig, Metro Manila in the Philippines. We're going to discuss how far your peso or your US dollar goes in BGC. Now this might come in handy to both Filipinos and foreigners who are looking to move from outside of Metro Manila into BGC, or from people looking to come from abroad to move into BGC. And it's going to be applicable to both sides. There isn't really anything else in Metro Manila that matches the convenience that BGC has. You're able to drop down from your condo down to the floor level and everything is just conveniently located within a couple meters away. And the thing is, you don't have to take any sort of public transportation anywhere to get what you need. You have malls, you have restaurants ranging from cheap to expensive, an abundance of coffee shops, places to shop at, as well as a few rooftop bars, wine bars, etc. This place has it all. And the other thing I take for granted every day is the fact that BGC has these huge pavements, unlike anywhere else. You might have other places like Rockwell, etc., but there's nowhere near the level of pavements there are in BGC. And so it's super easy to walk around the city. It's one of the perfect locations to bring up a family, especially if you've got younger kids, or even having a pet that you can walk around freely in the city. And then the other perk is safety. I really haven't had an issue in terms of safety while staying in the Philippines for a year and a half, but BGC is definitely one of the safest places in all of Metro Manila, if not the Philippines. Most of the people here are either residences or working professionals, or some even very, very rich, wealthy individuals that live in penthouses here. And there's certainly quite a large expat group of overseas Filipino workers that come here on a yearly basis, etc., and stay here for a couple months. And the foreign expat group is slowly becoming bigger and bigger. Now you might be wondering why I've given you all this information, all the perks in terms of living in BGC. And the reason is because I want to set into context for what the prices are going to be in BGC, because obviously this is a premium place to live in here in the Philippines, in Metro Manila. So for this cost of living video, I've broken it down into three main categories: your rent, your bills, and then your expenses, which include like food, coffee, etc. And if you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and obviously like this video. And now I'm going to show you the exact condominium building I live in. Okay, so I live in this condominium tower just behind me, which is known as the Uptown Park Suite Buildings. And it's a fairly premium building here in BGC along Uptown Parade. And my unit is a 37 square meter studio unit with like a sliding divider, and I currently pay 42,000 pesos a month for it. And the reason why I'm paying a little bit more than the 1,000 peso per square mark that I advise people not to pay over unless like it's fully renovated is because it is renovated. It's really nice inside, etc. And I'll do a condo tour of my unit on a later date when I probably plan to move out, etc. And the convenience of living here is you can literally drop down from your condo. You've got Landers at the base, you've got Uptown Parade here. On the other side, you've got Mitsukoshi Mall, and just over there you have Uptown Mall too. So someone asked me why I stay in Uptown a lot, and it's just the convenience. Everything you could want is here. And I don't really like to walk to the high street too much, and I rarely go to the Forbes area. I just don't need to. I have no interest in that area. Now my advice is, if you want to move into one of these uptown buildings, you can get an unfurnished place for about 30,000 pesos at this moment in time. And if you pay like in a year's advance, then you could definitely drop the price down even further, maybe to like 25k. But for something that's furnished to a basic level, i.e. your basic sofa, your basic TV, bed, etc., then you're looking around about 35,000 pesos to 40,000 pesos. And if it's fully renovated, then you're looking at around about 50k and above for a 37 square meter unit studio type. Now for the 65 square meter one bedroom suites, you're probably looking around about 65k and up. And for a 2-bedroom unit, it's around about 85k and up. Okay, your next category is your bills, and this can be broken down into 4 components: your electricity, your water, your internet, and your phone bill. And the first bill we're going to talk about, which is going to be your most significant, is your electricity bill. BGC is known for having notoriously high electricity prices. and the cost per kilowatt hour, I believe, is the most expensive in all of Metro Manila, if not the Philippines. At this moment in time, the price for a kilowatt hour is around about 12.8 pesos, which is almost a 10% increase from last year. And the one thing that's going to drive your electricity prices up more than anything is your air conditioning units that you have installed in your condominium unit. Now, depending on the type of condominium unit you end up renting, you might have a box type air conditioning unit which slots into a window and it's this big square and it takes a portion of your wall, or you have the split type air conditioning unit where it's like mounted onto the wall. Now, in my personal circumstance, the tower I'm living in, which is this tower here, are all split type units that are non-inverters. So if I'm using an air conditioning unit, let's say for most hours of the day, between 18 and let's say 24 hours a day non-stop, the electricity bill comes out to a maximum of about 8,000 pesos if I only use one of them. And because I'm living in a studio type, having one air conditioning on is enough to be able to cool the entire room. Now, if you're looking to minimize your expenses as much as possible and you're looking to live in BGC on a really tight budget, then make sure you get a condominium unit with a box type inverter air conditioning unit. None of the condominium units from Megaworld along Uptown Parade have box type units. They're all split type. And so if you're looking for a box type unit that's going to give you the lowest electricity bills, then you're better off looking at the Federal Land buildings behind Mitsukoshi Mall and something like Avida Towers, to which there is an Avida Tower just over there behind the JP Morgan building. You see it? Now, believe it or not, your second most expensive bill is going to be your internet bill. And there's pretty much only two major reliable internet providers here in Metro Manila, if not Philippines. There's Globe and Smart. And I've chosen to go with Globe, and they haven't let me down at all. I get 200 megabits download and 200 megabits upload, and it never varies. Like, the speeds are consistent. And I pay 1,600 pesos a month for that bill. And to get the internet installed, I ended up paying a 4,200 peso installation fee. And I believe Globe is the superior internet provider in this area of BGC Uptown. Now, I wouldn't say Globe is the most reliable internet provider around the entire Philippines. I do find that Smart has better connectivity in the provinces as opposed to the city. But when I'm in BGC Uptown, it's Globe all the way. But that's only for home broadband, because for my phone bill, I use a different provider. And that provider is Smart. And the reason why I use Smart is because it has better and more competitive price plans as opposed to Globe. If you want unlimited 5G on Globe, you have to get this package called Go 99 or Go Plus. And it's only valid for like 7 days. And you have to keep doing that 4 times every month for it to last 28 days, and then have to buy an additional 5G package on top of that. And so it ends up working out more expensive and more of a hassle than if you just go with Smart and you buy their package, their 5G package, which costs around about 599 pesos, and that lasts for about 28 to 30 days. Your last and final bill before we move on to the third category is your water. And water seems to be very inexpensive here in BGC. I think I pay like 200 to 300 pesos a month. So it's really insignificant, but it's there. Now, let's move on to the third category, which is your daily expenses, such as a Starbucks coffee and your food. Now, your food is probably going to be your biggest daily expense, as one eats 3 times a day. And what better way to show you exactly how much it costs on food and to show you some options where I like to eat and how much it costs, etc. And the first place we're going to head to is Mitsukoshi Mall, as that's where I like to eat the most frequently. So we will head down to the basement floor, and this is where the food court and most of the restaurants are located in Mitsukoshi Mall here. And right at the base of this escalator is Mitsukoshi Fresh, where you can pick up your local groceries and fresh produce, etc. And you know what? Actually, there's a restaurant in here that I occasionally eat at, but the reason why I don't eat here more often is because I usually forget. So we'll start off at this place here. So I don't actually know the name of this restaurant. I think it's called the Meat Kitchen here. But what I like to do is I like to go with like a chicken teriyaki afternoon set, which costs around about 300 and something pesos. Where is it? I think there's a better menu over here. It's easier to digest. Ah, here is chicken teriyaki don, 320 pesos. And then there's a bunch of other stuff like ebu tempura, which is 375, katsu curry 350, karaage don, yakitori don. And chef here cooks it freshly over that grill for you. Tastes great. And it's quite a filling portion. Okay, another restaurant which I've featured a couple times in the vlog is this restaurant behind me called Hey BKK, and I like to get a beef paris from here or a beef tapa. And oh, it's right here, there you are. And for the tapa it costs 330 pesos, and for the basilog it's 350, and I believe the paris is also 330. And just to prove to you, I already ate here. Ma'am, did I come here this morning?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
You ordered paris.
I did order paris. How much is the paris, ma'am? Is it 330 too? Yeah, just like the tapa, same price?
Yes, sir. Additional 5%.
Okay, thank you so much. Just wanted to confirm. All right. Okay, we'll make our way deeper into the basement floor of Mitsukoshi Mall, and we're right outside the Itadaki food court. And this is where the food court starts. That's not technically the food court. Those are more like restaurants, etc. And I like to eat from Bad Bird too, but most people seem to eat like, yeah, what she's having, chicken and rice. But I like to go with this right here, fish and chips. I eat fish and chips pretty often from here, right? Yes. 390 pesos. And it's brilliant. I really like it. Many people don't know about this, but I'm sure once the Brits find out, they'll be like flooding Bad Bird for fish and chips. So make sure you stock up on those. Yes, what type of fish do you use? What type of fish is it?
Fish and chips?
Yeah, your fish and chip. What fish is it?
River crabbler.
A river crabbler?
Yeah, it's imported fish.
From where?
Fish pond.
Yeah. It's decent. It's pretty good. All right, thank you. And now another go-to restaurant I frequently visit is Tenya behind me, and they do a great chicken karaage with rice with sweet chili and mayonnaise sauce drizzled over the top. And that is probably one of the most cheapest meals in all of BGC. It's at 185 pesos. So each of these is 185 peso, and I go for the chicken karaage here. You can get gyudon, buto miso, buta karaage, ebi toji. Now this isn't the only Tenya here in BGC. There's one also in Market that I've seen. So I just showed you 4 restaurants that offer meals for under 400 pesos, and I like to eat 3 times a day, and so my daily food expense while living in BGC in Uptown works out between 1,000 and 1,200 pesos per day. Now, if you're a frequent viewer of the channel, you know I can't live without coffee, and unfortunately I've gone through my second coffee of the day. However, an iced Americano costs around about 165 pesos here in the Philippines, which I think is relatively cheap in comparison to places like Thailand or even the West, for example. I think the same cup of iced Americano in Thailand will probably cost you about 160 Thai baht, and due to the currency difference, the peso is much lower than the Thai baht. I think it's like 1 Thai baht is equal to 1.6 pesos. Now, I haven't been back to the UK, so I don't know how much an iced Americano costs there, but maybe you guys can let me know in the comments below. I'm back?
Yeah.
Have I met you before?
Yeah.
JP Morgan?
That's correct.
Correct. How are you?
I'm good.
Oh, we're now going to Starbucks, right?
Yeah, there's no pickup anywhere there.
Well, they moved pickup. Yeah, actually, if you want to save money on coffee, there is pickup, which is like behind Uptown Mall, and you can get an iced Americano for like 50 pesos, but the quality isn't good anymore, right? It's gone downhill. So we're all settling on Starbucks now until Cafe Amazon comes here. No, I'm just joking. So I have 3 iced Americanos a day, which each cost 165 pesos. Multiply that by 3, and we're looking at about 480, 500 pesos. Now, if you're not a coffee lover, but you like bubble tea, then you can get bubble tea from Kurumi. One of my favorites is the Oreo milk cheese bubble tea that they have, and each one of those costs 150 pesos. And now the next daily expense is your transportation, and this is dependent on how often you want to leave BGC. And there's many ways in which you can do this. You can either take a joyride, you can take a taxi, a BGC bus, a jeepney, or even the Guadalupe ferry. There's many modes of transportation, and they vary in price. I find that obviously jeepney is the cheapest, ranging from 13 pesos up until 15 pesos for a bus to get from here to Guadalupe. You can get the free Pasig River ferry all the way to Makati, or to Quiapo, or to Binondo. There's the BGC bus right here as it's coming by, and you can use a beep card to get on this. I can't remember exactly what the cost of it is, but I think it's around about the same as a jeepney or like one of those small buses. And then if you don't want to use public transportation, there's Joyride, Angas, and obviously Grab Taxi or your normal taxi. And Joyride is around about 50 to 60 pesos within BGC. If you go to Guadalupe, you're looking around about 80, etc. And I think to get to Makati, it's around about 100 pesos, somewhere in that range. And I think Angas is pretty much the same. But as a foreigner, I can't seem to download Angas from my UK App Store, and I don't know why that is. It's been like that for the past year. But obviously the most convenient and the most safest is taking a taxi. However, taking a taxi can be quite expensive, especially if you're going from BGC all the way to places like Mall of Asia. You're looking to pay between 400 and 600 pesos, depending on the time and whether it's rush hour, etc., and the demand for the taxi. And if you're not a vlogger and you work in the city, or you basically work remotely and you don't need to travel out BGC much, then this expense is going to be pretty low, and it's really hard to put a number on it, especially if you're not a vlogger like me who likes to travel around or needs to shoot a video a day like I do. But if I had to put a number on it and estimate exactly how much I personally spend on transport, I would say I probably spend in the region of about maybe 2,000 pesos a week just on transport. But I've been trying to cut back on this expense because I personally find it more entertaining to take public transportation than to take a taxi and wait in traffic. And if you saw a previous video where I went from Binondo, Manila to BGC, it literally cost me 56 pesos for the entire journey. So if you take public transportation and you don't mind spending an additional 20 minutes, 30 minutes getting around, then you can save yourself a lot of money doing that. Now, most of the condominium units here in BGC have their own gyms and swimming pools, but if you're looking for something a little bit more dedicated with a bigger facility, more equipment, then you can expect to pay between 2 and 4K per month on a gym membership in BGC. But if you have a higher disposable income and you're looking for something a little bit more luxurious, then there's Kerry Sports Gym, which is on the high street, and I think that's 15K a month. But for most of the franchises, you're looking underneath 4K with gym and possibly swimming included. Now, how about if I want to travel the Philippines, Mergim, like you do, like go to Boracay and go to El Nido, etc.? Well, you know, catching a flight around the Philippines, depending on where you go, can be pretty inexpensive. And I found that flying to Boracay around about this time of the year, around about October, November, is relatively cheap in comparison to other periods during the year, because we're kind of in monsoon season. But the 2 days in which I was there, it hardly rained at all and it was pretty much clear skies. And a flight to Boracay during this period is around about 1.4, 1.6K, even if you book only 2 days in advance. So flying around the Philippines, flying to Cebu, flying to Caticlan to go to Boracay, flying to Bohol, etc. I would say generally you can fly pretty much anywhere you want in the Philippines for under 3 to 4K one way. Hey, there's a Porsche there. But if you want to go to El Nido, directly to El Nido, then you're looking to pay around about 10,000 pesos, maybe 14,000 pesos for a round trip. But if you fly to Puerto Princesa, which is like the midland of Palawan, it's like the capital city of Palawan, then you can do that for about 3,000 to 4,000 pesos. And accommodation is really dependent on your budget. If you're looking for like a private hotel room, nothing too fancy, the basic table, bed, and decent internet, then you're looking to pay at around about 2,000 pesos per night, if not under. But it depends on the location, obviously. Places like Boracay and El Nido, actually Boracay is pretty competitive, it's actually pretty low. But if you're looking at El Nido, then you're probably looking about 3,500 minimum a night. Now in this video, I haven't covered insurance, and the reason why I haven't covered it is because it's not mandatory for you to travel to the Philippines. However, there's an abundance of insurance providers online that you can check out by just doing a simple Google search, and you can probably pick one up for like 50 USD a month. Now, the other thing is visas. Here in the Philippines, you can stay as a tourist for up to 2 to 3 years, paying every month between 2,000 to 4,000 pesos. And so getting a visa here is pretty easy, pretty lenient. You just come into the Philippines with a tourist visa upon arrival, and then you just go to the immigration office and extend it, and it takes like about an hour. It's way more efficient and way more lenient than a lot of Asian countries. Okay, so based on my current lifestyle, if I tally up all the expenses, it costs me about 116,000 pesos a month to live in BGC currently in Tower 1 Park Suites, which is quite high. it's considerably higher. I didn't realize how high it was. This is the first time I've ever actually fully calculated my expense in a month. Now, if I was to move to places like Ortigas or Makati, my rent would probably be slashed by half. And if I was to also stop drinking Starbucks coffee or go somewhere where it's a little bit cheaper, let's say I stop drinking coffee completely, then I'll save myself another 15,000 pesos from that. And with regards to electricity bill, if I move into a condo that has box type air conditioning units, then my electricity bill will drop from like 8K to maybe like 2 or 3K. And so there's huge potential savings that I could save on, but I'm just not by living in BGC in this current condominium where I am right now. In summary, as you can see, it can be quite expensive to live in BGC and quite challenging for a content creator. But if you like what I do here on the channel and you want to support, I've got a link to my Patreon in the description where there's exclusive content on there for only Patreon members, and it's like $3 a month or the equivalent of a Starbucks coffee. I've tried to keep today's video as entertaining as I possibly can by constantly changing the scenery in the background, and so if you found it somewhat entertaining and informative, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like today's video, and share it with friends and family, and I will see you in the next video here on the channel. Many thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and bye for now.